Hello, welcome to Reframing Mindset Podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity to practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, and welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Concern Brooks. And now this topic we're going to talk about, reading is fundamental. And it's funny. I came up with the topic, and then I went to church one Sunday, and I see the sign. I see the sign. A sign says reading is fundamental. So I guess the person that that I would attribute it to. I guess it was a term from long ago that he just picked up as well. you know, yeah. So back in going through school and such like that, I always have a friend, the smarter friend, and he was, he was more of a reader. I wasn't a reader, and I wasn't a reader. I was more of a watcher. I like to watch shows and stuff like that. Reading was never my thing. So like when I usually study for exam and such like that, I usually just SWAT, just glance over the stuff I read through, and such like that. And then what happened is that whatever I regurgitate or whatever I speak of is what my memory can recall from that, like first glance at the page, or first time reading through, so sometimes when we were talking I would say something, and then he would say, no, he never said that. And then I said, well, what? And then I would read it and realize that, oh, it said something it said something else. And then he would say something like, oh, reading is fundamental, because the thing about it is that he usually have a better memory. So when he reads stuff, he have a better time remembering. But I was a person that, I was a lazy. I hate reading. So I hate reading, and then to remember what I read was, so it was a double L. It was a double L. But why do you try to say that? He was right. He was right. Reading is fundamental because I'm in this stage of life now where I'm fascinated by some books. Like I see some books and I see some stuff, and I really want to read it, and I really want to find time to read it. But reading is really a skill, bro. You really have to take time to actually read and then comprehend what you read. It takes time. You can't just simply just be chilling. So like the people who can read a book in like 6 hours or something like that, I guess it's over time they develop those skills. Someone like me starting from zero, it will take time for me to do that. Plus the fact that I hate reading, most of my audience, maybe one of you guys, maybe hate reading as well. So I guess it's one of those skills that is hard. Going to take some time to develop. But the thing about it is that reading is power, just like writing and listening. They are powerful skills if you can really take the time to actually do it, because there are really some gems hiding in the books. Like for example, the Bible, bro. The Bible, and I recently started reading the Bible, and not recently, but now I've always gone through it. I've grown up with it, and then after university, during this pandemic time, I kind of started learning it more seriously. With one of my family members teaching it more. And I really start to understand how powerful and how interesting the Bible is. But the thing about it, to actually read it, bro, that's a different story. So you can basically what you can do is basically like read one and two Psalms and stuff like that. That's pretty easy. That's pretty easy and stuff like that. But the thing about it is that when you actually want to read it from start to finish, that's where the real hustle is, because that's where the Because the Bible is basically a creation to the creation story to basically the apocalypse and then to the new heaven and new earth. That's basically the Bible. Well, if I were to be more accurate, they have the creation, the Old Testament, and then you have the New Testament with Jesus pull up, and then Jesus died. Then you have that dark time where the apostle doing their things, spreading the gospel. Then you have the last part where the apocalypse comes and then the new heaven and new earth. You see me? I so you know I that's I've been reading the Bible seriously for let's say 2022 now 4 years. So I guess that synopsis is pretty accurate, given the amount of, but the thing about it is that I've never read the Bible from start to finish. It's pretty hard actually for someone like me that basically don't like read and stuff like that. But the thing is that the Bible is interested enough that someone like me that hate to read is just interested enough to just pull you into it. And it don't really have to pull you into you want to read the whole Bible, but there are certain gems about it in the Bible that make you just say, oh yes. And in this perilous time like the pandemic and stuff like that, and see stuff that the Bible say about it, it really just draws you into it. And then not only that, no, if you listen to way back a long time ago, I recommended four books. The Bible was one, but there was another one recommended by my guest. When he recommended me that book and told me to read it, it really that was a pretty short book, and it really forced me to actually sit down and read because he was my mentor. So the guest that recommended me the book, he was my mentor in some sense. So basically, I had to just um do it and just for the sake of doing it. And I started it and thought, oh, this is going to be a weird a dreaded task, just like the task that he mentored me through. Yeah, so but actually reading through it, I realized how interesting the book was. And the book was like the 5 rules of such stratospheric success. And the book was pretty interesting when I read it, and I actually liked it. So I enjoy reading that book. Will I read it again? Maybe not, because I kind of got the general essence of it. I would maybe skim through it or something like that. Well, I don't know. But what happened was, like, recently I went to the dentist and I see some books, and I actually had the interest of actually wanting to read the book. I also other books that I have now that I really want to get into. But the thing about it reading is that what I've s- for me, I think what I realized that maybe I need free time where basically I'm dedicating it to reading a book. And where basically I have no tasks, like for example, see me doing all these tasks now to try to maintain this house. So I think maybe me enjoying the reading would be like I finish all these main tasks and I have all this free time and then no trouble. So I just take out the book and just simply chill and a nice time on the veranda, just read and just enjoy it. So I guess that's how I envision myself enjoying reading. I guess it will be a different situation for you as well. But the topic is, the friend always said that reading is fundamental, and he's right. He's right in the sense that there's a lot of things by reading. If you can read, there's a lot of things you can pick up, like reading. When I was doing my university degree, they say you have to read for your degree, so I have to read a lot of books. I never really did read a lot of books, but reading can really do a lot. Like there's a lot of people write a lot of stuff, and there's things to be learned in the reading of the book. hmm So what else I have to say on this topic? You know, I've, hmm, there's not much I have to say about this topic, but much less on it. I guess the last thing is that, you see, if you're a person that don't like to read, even I don't like to read either, but the thing about it is that I'm in this stage where I realize that there's so much gem in these books that is drawing me to actually want to learn how to actually take the time to read and such like that. So I'm telling you, maybe you don't like it now. I guess it's going to, what I'm talking about is going to relate into a future topic. And, when I had that topic, the idea came out to me, then I kind of thought I would never have something to see on the topic, but no, talking about this give it that topic relevancy. But that's it. Right now, I'm in the stage of my life where read books are becoming more interesting to me, and there's a lot of gems there that that can be found. And I guess that's due to this journey, a lot of bored time, a lot of basically time where I was I never had the chance to watch TV or anything fun. I was basically doing work on this journey. I barely had time to. So most of what I was enjoying was like real stuff, like real experiences, going to the see stuff. It was me watching TV or such like that, or playing games. It was me enjoying real stuff. I guess over time that really open up that other side, that other side that people may have when they were little, where so like people who enjoyed, so people who traveled a lot and read a lot of book when they were younger. I guess I'm that late bloomer now, where basically seeing these things I never actually got to see when I was younger growing up, actually kind of igniting that side of me, so I guess that will be for you as well, where maybe you don't like reading now, but what happens is that there will be a common point in your life where basically you have to throw away all the childish stuff that you usually do, and then become more responsible. And then when you take up on this responsibility, all those boring stuff that you usually hate when you were younger, you actually enjoy it and look forward to doing it though. So that's basically how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. So that's basically for this episode. Reading is fundamental. I will shout out the friend's name, but we can't. So, all right, thanks. Thanks for listening, and look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/CSSB/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
But I guess the first minute test, or almost test. I can call it wasn't an exam; it was a test. Yes, basically there was a tropical storm Ian, that was projected to go across our island and stuff like that. And I first year being a woman and stuff like that. If thing goes wrong, I'm homeless. I'm homeless. But greatly enough, it was it didn't it didn't come. It didn't come. But there was something. If you have listened to the podcast, you'd have learned that few episodes back, a good amount of episodes back, there's a point where I mentioned that the roof was leaking and I had to just, and because